Welcome back, everyone, to another Muffins with Morgan. So we had a technical difficulty, which is on me. We fixed it. We fixed it though. But now we are back. So if you were listening in earlier, come back in. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna be tearing down some emails straight from Nadia's inbox, and you all know on these Muffins with Morgan, we got to have the air horn. We're excited. We finally figured out all the technical difficulties, so we're good now. So as people are tuning in, I'm going to ask you what I always ask you all, which is where are you tuning in from? Where are you at today? Let us know in the chat. We'll dive into this conversation that I'm super excited to have. And again, now I'm going to ask for your intro here for everyone that's coming in. So tell us what you're up to, what's going on in your world, and we'll dive into the conversation.
No problem. I don't mind speaking about myself, so I don't mind repeating as well. My intro. So yeah, been in sales for a lifetime already. 2 times head of sales. Used cold emails. That's why I love that we're talking about this today, to actually grow a bootstrap company from 1 million to 10 million in era bootstrapped. Currently leading sales at Localize. Hopefully my team is watching and listening in, even though it's Friday night and afternoon for them. They just did a cold calling session, so probably they're out drinking somewhere, but still very excited to be here today. Honestly needed a good podcast after this week.
Awesome. We'll make sure it's good. So shout out to the people, like I said, tell us who you're tuning in from. We got Toronto in the house, Boston, we got Seattle, we got Serbia, or I don't know what that place is. Where is that?
Perpignan. That's actually my SDR for my team. Hi,
Okay. Shout out. So let us know where you're tuning in from. We're going to dive into this conversation today. But before we do that, I'm going to ask the audience here that's listening in, this is important. What would you rate yourself in terms of outbound emails right now? 1 to 5, 5 being you're an exceptional writer. You're getting responses almost every single time. 1 is like you are not good at email. You don't even want to write emails. You're not a huge fan. So there's that. And then my question to you, Nadja, here is, as people are coming in, what makes a great email? What should people think about here? And then also, what are things that you're like, I don't like this when people do this in the email?
You phrased the question differently now.
I changed it
up. What makes a great email forever, in my opinion, it's going to be relevance plus personalization, but relevance number one. And then obviously that you don't sound like you're completely have automated everything from the beginning till the end. Because even if you're relevant and you've done that, it's a question mark if I would respond to you personally. And then relevance, obviously, what I don't like when people do in emails is make it very awkward with personalization, I would say as well. Okay. So like they go way too personal or way too creative, I would say. And obviously typical stuff when the emails are too long, when the format is just horrible and you feel like you're reading a novel and not an email.
Okay, so can you define like too creative? No, I'm actually curious on this.
Yes. No, actually, yes, I can define because I had a recent example that I didn't send to you, but yes. So somebody actually went to my Facebook page, went way back in the day, saw where I was traveling, what concerts I was listening to, and then it was like a whole paragraph of personal information that is nowhere related to my business. And then, a random switch from that to a pitch, which is completely different to what we were talking about. And then a creative part was the follow-up to that, which was a very weird GIF. I think I actually sent it to you. Very weird GIF with a penguin walking, and then it's like, I don't know, it was very strange. So yeah, it can go wrong. It can go wrong.
That sounds absolutely crazy. So I don't think I might have put that one in here across the board, but that is a crazy one. And everyone else, like, welcome back to the show. So if you haven't been on this show before, you don't know what this is about. Muffins and Morgan is just taking different concepts like email teardowns, answering your sales questions, your marketing questions, and making it interactive. So if this is your first time here, feel free to drop in a question as we go through these emails live. And I'll also be going through what these grade letters are. Everything is redacted. No one is getting called out. No one is getting attacked in these. We don't know who these people are. I just redacted it. I have no idea. So just want to give you all that context. Shout out to India. India, what time is it in India? I feel like it's night. Like shout out to y'all for coming through. I want to hear some other shout outs. We have Vienna in the house, Ohio, Chicago. Amazing. Again, if you're in the stream right now, let us know where you're tuning in from. But right now, what we're going to do is we're going to dive into these emails. Yeah, go ahead.
mind if I ask a question to Michael here, who said that his company mail merges, he has a 35% plus reply rate. So if you can give us one reason why you feel this is the reply rate that you're getting, which is actually a good reply rate, if Michael is actually listening to us still.
Michael, let us know.
Let us know.
Everyone is curious. Everyone is curious. So as we figure out what Michael's going to tell us, I'm going to quickly share my screen here. And like I said, what we're going to do is we're going to dive through these emails live. We're going to get Nadia's perspective, but then I'm going to ask you all's perspective as well, so we can make this fun here. So what I'm going to do is share my screen, and y'all should be able to see this. If you can't, let us know. I'm going to actually pull this up a little bit more. So actually, let me do this because this will be actually easier for you. That is not right. We're going to do this right here. So we're going to see it. Okay. So as I go through this, everybody, and you should be able to see this. Okay, cool. In a better format. And if you can zoom in, let me know. We're going to get people's perspective. All right. So essentially, Nadja, we're going to go into what do you think about this email? Give us a couple positive things, couple things to consider. And then everyone in the chat, let us know what you think of this email as well. And we'll get some feedback into it. And again, if you have questions throughout this, let us know as well.
Okay, so I will start. The reason that I sent you actually this email is for the fact that this is majority of the emails that I'm receiving. Like more or less all of them are similar to this one. To start with the most obvious fact, starting with hi without even mentioning my name. They didn't even go to the effort of automating my first name in this email. So hi to you as well. But then it starts with like, we have recently compiled the customer contact list. So it starts with we, which is okay sometimes, but then it goes basically into the whole pitch of them offering a list of contact lists for the following products, Trello, Asana, whatever. Is that something that you're looking to connect with? Please let me know your thoughts. Knowing Localize and what we currently do, there is no single reason why us as Localize would care even about these tools. So like there was zero research behind this. It was fully automated email just to random folks. So for me, this is where I dropped and I even stopped reading the email itself. We can also customize the contact list exactly in the line with your target prospect's profile. Please review, let me know if you're interested, and I will get back to you with account relevant information. Now, what I really don't like about this, it's completely irrelevant, completely unpersonalized. It doesn't give me any reason whatsoever why I would respond to this email or why I would even trust it. Even if I needed, to be honest, these integrations that they're talking about, I would not reply to this email. Simply because my thought process would be, okay, you're not the only one who is doing this. Why would I care? And why would I trust you rather than anybody else on the market that is doing the same stuff when you haven't even went to the effort of actually mentioning my name, if nothing else? So this is kind of my vision on this email itself. How it can be improved is if they actually said like, hey, we recently compiled a list of what if you could get your hands on the list of companies that are currently expanding into new markets or have more than 3 languages on the website. Could this help you speed up your reps' productivity because they're going to be focusing on closing deals rather than prospecting themselves, blah, blah, blah. So this immediately I will say yes, because I definitely need this kind of list. So if anybody also is selling this, please reach out to me. But yeah, for me, this is kind of as simple as it gets. No relevance, no personalization, very automated email. Call to action doesn't even exist. Like, please review and let me know. So like this guy or girl, I'm not sure, didn't even follow up with me. So yeah, it completely went sideways.
Okay, so I appreciate that feedback. I want to talk about something that comes up in a lot of emails, which is name dropping following products or even companies here. So they're mentioning these different products across the board that they potentially, it looks like that they can connect with or work with. Is that relevant? Is that actually more non-relevant conversation? Like what's your take on this?
So when you're mentioning like different in this case, for example, they're mentioning these integrations, from what I understood.
Yep.
I do think that it's a good tactic if you actually can offer something that is going to help us. So for example, we're also selling localized messages, which is kind of a plugin on your intercom, on your Zendesk, so that you can actually translate. Your customer support can become multilingual basically in a second. So if you were pitching us, hey, we have a list of customers that are using Zendesk, Intercom, etc., this might resonate because your reps are selling currently localized messages, and this can help them, blah, blah, blah. So in this case, 100% it can help. And I do like name dropping these customers or integrations because it is actually helpful at the end, but it really depends on the use case, I would say.
Okay. So I would say overall on this email, I mean, I would agree with you. I don't want to rehash anything because we're going to go to the next one. Is just being mindful of, do you have your first two sentences? Is it some type of personalized? But also, as well, it's like there was a call to action for essentially kind of some type of meeting. Is this something you're looking to connect with? Like that actually is a call to action before you even get into the value of it as well. So if you're gonna actually add any type of value, do it. Make sure that you do it before you have asked for something. So that's what didn't happen there. I think that was the disconnect. So for everyone that's listening in, let's hear just in the chat, what would you give a grade on this? And Nadja, what would you give a grade on this one?
Can I go 0?
I mean, you can. We're doing it by letter gate. So F B C. What are we giving it?
Let's go with E at least. I don't want to.
All right. So basically, like we did not do well here at all. All right. So here's the thing. Now we're gonna go to the next one, and also in the chat, let us know as well. And as we go to the next one, y'all can read this. But the key thing that I actually want to call out here, because we did get our question answered, so I'm gonna bring this up real quick. He's here with us. So essentially, he works with a closed book of business. So he generates short generic emails asking for authorization to fix an issue on their behalf. He includes a company-wide update and then sneak it into a meeting request. And then I'll read the rest of it. He gets a nice response rate, and those inquiries usually turn into a meeting. That's what he's doing.
Okay.
So, any comments on that?
I would say that I really would need to know also the product and what they're solving, so to actually be able to make a comment. But I would say that even generic emails can oftentimes work if it's really, really, really relevant to the customers that you're selling, and it straight away gives you value and there is no fluff around it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that as well. So this email looks like it might be more favorable, but Nadja, talk to us about it.
Yes, it's definitely more favorable. I think the first one was the worst example that we've had on the slides. Now, to start with, at least it starts with "Hi Nadja." So the email starts with, "What if I told you I could improve your forecasting accuracy up to 95% and potentially 10x your win rates?" If you told me that, I would tell you, I don't trust you, I don't believe you, and you're definitely full of BS. So this is where the salesperson lost me, honestly, with the first question. The reason for this is, how would you even know what you can do with my company and my pipeline if you don't even know my pipeline? Like, I cannot tell you this number, let alone somebody random. Plus, these numbers are way overfluffed. So like saying that you can improve accuracy by 95% and then 10x your win rates, you can't ever promise anybody that. So it's immediately telling me that this person is lying. So I don't find it trustworthy at all. But then I do like this next sentence, which is, "I typically deal with the sales directors like yourself who are concerned with the inaccurate forecasting figures being related to investors," simply because I do think this is something that a lot of sales directors are facing with. And I do think that it's kind of currently a very trending topic that we are talking about, at least as sales leaders. So I do like it. Others are telling me that they're expecting high levels of deal slippage due to lack of pipeline visibility. Now, this is a problem because he's focusing on two problems in the same email, which I don't like. Like, focus on one in the first email, then use it to follow up the second problem that you might have in the follow-up emails. If those are relevant to you, is it worth a check? Thoughts. The problem is here, again, we have 3 questions in this email. So even when I opened the email itself, I saw 3 questions. So which question do you want me to respond to first? And second of all, you're asking too much from me, like when it comes to like answering these questions. Simple way that this can be actually tweaked in a very good email, I would say, is if he started, I'm just going to make a random copy right now.
You're good.
So, "Hi Nadja, been hearing concerns from sales directors like yourself about inaccurate forecasting figures being related to investors. How sure are you? How confident are you currently in your forecasting accuracy? If this is something that you would be open to explore, and then why I would trust this person and not somebody else." Then you give some credibility in terms of, I've helped a company in similar to yours, in your industry, similar size of your company, do this and this and this with proper numbers, not 95% and 10x win rates. And then even saying like objection handling in advance, by saying something like, obviously, I cannot know if this is gonna immediately impact your results until I actually know how your pipeline looks like, blah blah blah. But then you kind of objection handle on the spot, and for me, this would work. And we might even have this chat, but in this case, I don't find it trustworthy, to be honest. But it's not horrible, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely one of the more favorable emails in here as well. And so for everyone else, add your insights in the chat. I already see some people doing it. The one thing to just keep in mind, and I absolutely agree with you, is the first sentence. That's what my immediate feedback was. It's also important to understand the numbers you're throwing out. So 10xing someone's win rate for like a big company versus a startup are two drastically different conversations. So you can't blanket that and say, hey, like I'll help you 10x your win rate. Well, whoa, okay. Like for some people, that's could be, millions and millions of dollars. For some people, that could be $100,000. It just depends on who you're reaching out to, right? So it's not about like 10xing the win rate. It's about like what is actually the metric around that, and the only way you're going to be able to figure that out is by getting on a discovery call, which you haven't done yet. So throwing out like up to 95%, well, okay, like what exactly does that mean? What if they're 5% to 95? That's a drastic leap, right? Versus like 90 to 95 would be maybe more realistic for someone reading. But again, you don't know that information. You're blanking it. So the only time that I recommend, and this is still scary to do, but the only time I recommend doing numbers is when you are directly focused on a certain industry and you can say, hey, like industry wide, this is what we're seeing. Okay, that might help you out a little bit, but when it's a blanket statement, this actually gets you more in trouble than it helps you.
Yep, I completely agree. Plus, one thing that you can do especially if you're selling to enterprise companies, you can kind of play with numbers if you already talked to other people in the company that you're reaching out to. So like you already gotten some insights, you already spoken to like people in different departments, and you are playing with these numbers, saying that you've gotten this number from other people in that company, and then it's actually very powerful to use it. But again, very careful with this. As you said, like I wouldn't play with this a lot in my emails, in the initial emails at least that I'm sending out.
Yeah. Definitely do not. And then, I think these are some additional questions that I think are in the chat here. Is forecasting accuracy a priority? And can we close this? Can we close with this? I think the first part, I'm assuming you're saying, is forecasting accuracy a priority? I'm assuming that like you're saying that could something that they could intro with. That's something they could do as well. This is also something, Nadja, I'm curious because you said 3 questions. I was on a Teardown earlier this week with Will Allred from Lavender, and they have millions and millions of emails that they've analyzed, and he always tells me that in every email that you do, you should only ask 1 question. So if we look at it here's 3 questions. If I were to actually take something out, I would actually recommend probably changing that first sentence, right, and just saying like, we've been hearing from clients that forecasting accuracy has been an issue, and then go into it, and then take out thoughts. Because if you all think about it, there's 2 call to actions here. It's like, if those are relevant to you, is it worth a quick chat? That's it. I don't need to know any more thoughts than that. You've already asked your question and you're wasting space there. But I'm curious on your perspective on that data.
100% agree with you. Like first sentence shouldn't be a question in this case. It can be a statement. Then you only ditch the thoughts, because why would you ask even for thoughts? As you said, the previous question is just enough. So literally, first sentence becomes a statement, you do your pitch, and then call to action is just worth having a chat. That's it.
So let's break this down. Grade. What would you give this? And then everyone in the audience, let us know your grade as well. We're doing the letter grades A, B, C, D, and we gave something an E, so there's that. But what would you give this one?
C, D.
Okay, so C minus. C minus.
C minus is fine.
C minus. We'll give a C minus. We'll give a C minus. We'll give C minus. So we have a question here. Is it okay to be brazen with the ask? Like, let's schedule a call to talk more about this. So this is actually a really good question. We'll bring this up to the fold here. Is it okay to be a bit brazen? I'm assuming like direct. I'm assuming that's kind of what you're saying there. Direct with the ask. Like, let's schedule a call to talk more about this. So what's your take on this?
I wouldn't go straight for an ask for a call if like this. Like, let's schedule a call to talk more about this, because you haven't even confirmed if there is an interest, or if this resonates, or if there is even relevant to this company. My personal thing.
At all in the entire campaign, even if it was like the
No, no, no.
follow-up
Of course,
email.
of course. At one, like, just in the first email itself,
Got
like
it.
in the
Okay.
follow-up emails, definitely yes. Like, I feel like the more you go through the cadence and the more you're coming to the end of the cadence, the more direct and firm you should be, because you're right now in the time where you need to get an answer.
Yep.
But in the first email, it's just kind of your first goal of the first email is just to get a reply to start a conversation flowing.
So this is the best way for everyone to think about this, and for you who asked the question as well. This is the best way to think about this. Your first email, you got to think about this is really the best way. So this is about to go down a different path here. Is dating. All right. So most people, right, when they send an email, they're like, "Hey, do you have 30 minutes?" That's the equivalent of going on a first date and proposing, which the success rate of that is typically extremely low. I don't have the statistics on that, but I don't think it's very high. Okay, it's probably not gonna work out for you, and that person probably is never gonna talk to you ever again. And the thing is, like, this is what's happening in your inbox. People see this generic. No, this is not. This is okay, right? But let's say the last message, right? You send something like that. What happens is they remark you as spam, right? And you get deleted, and you don't go anywhere. So that's just like really important for everyone to understand here, is that you asking for 30 minutes at the beginning of your email is like you proposing on the first date. Now, if you all are out there you're proposing on the first date and that's your style, like, hey, look, I'm not gonna knock you. Do whatever you gotta do. I think statistically that won't get you very far. So that's the way that I would answer that question there. Now we have another question here as well, which is, what's a good call to action for selling products and not service, where in this case you don't want a meeting but you want them to make a product purchase?
How would you ask somebody to make a product purchase based just on the email? That would be my first question. What you can definitely do is like ask them to evaluate the tool. Maybe like asking to kick off a free trial, go to a beta testing of the tool. Ask them if they want to learn more about the tool, to kind of send them a video or anything else that will showcase how the product looks like. But in at least this is for outbound that I'm talking about, so it's different if it's inbound.
Mm.
But if it's an outbound email and you're just kind of coming first time to the prospect who first time hears about your product, I don't see, like, it would be a kind of a magic thing to happen if you would just send the one cold email and then get a purchase of the product.
Okay, so you're talking about jewelry or hair. So that's what she was talking about.
Selling jewelry or hair, I would sell it on Instagram as a first step and not through the but okay. So if you're selling, I don't know, jewelry or hair, again, like, then I would be creative and like showing the examples of how your previous work looked like. So if it was like hairstyles that you've done, showcase like the couple of different hairstyles that you've had, and then ask. Again, they will not be able to purchase the new hairstyle on the call, on the email itself. But if it's like, can you come over to would you be interested to come over to the hair salon, or like, would this be worth something that you would explore purchasing? Here's where you can sign up and buy it, or like, here's a discount if you actually sign up in the next half an hour to purchase it, or whatever. I haven't sold, to be honest, to these type of companies the product, so I haven't played with the copy, but this is how I would approach it.
I haven't either. I think that's a good advice. I think platform is obviously important here. Pinterest, Instagram, those are places you would go. Have I sold on those platforms before? Not Pinterest, like Instagram to a degree, but that's where I'd play in that realm. So hopefully I'll answer the question there. And then also as well, Damalo, I believe that's how you say your name. Hopefully that helped answer your question as well. Let us know in the chat. So we're going to go back to an email here. And here's another one that we're going to break down. And this one also has a very interesting start to it, right? So these are okay right here. But Nadja, this came to your inbox. This is what's going on. Tell us what you thought when you saw it.
Yes. So I liked this email initially because when I received the email, I saw the first couple of words of the sentence that I was of the email itself, and it actually was mentioning the funding round that we are going to get. So like it triggered my attention. I was like, okay, this person has actually done some research on the company. Let's see what this is all about. So that's why I opened it, and that's why it's very important to personalize your first lines, obviously. So I was just reading about your upcoming raise and wanted to see how your team is planning to build up sales for localize. Again, this is personalized kind of, but it can be, you go to Crunchbase, you just put like all of the companies that got funded recently, and this can be fully automated. So it's not true personalization, but at least this person did an effort to put it in the email. So fine. And then obviously, if we got funded, we're planning to build up sales for localized. So yes, this actually is relevant. I like actually the fact that he starts or she starts with kind of insight. So many early stage companies fail because they don't have an adequate sales pipeline to support their growth. Fine, you're setting up the stage. I know what you're talking about. This is the potential pit that I can fall into if we don't fix it. But it's going too broad because they're mentioning like adequate sales pipeline. And this is way too broad. And every tool on the market currently can potentially help with this. So now, there is no really like, okay, yes, it's kind of a problem, but it's not concrete problem within the sales pipeline that I'm facing that you're helping me solve. It's kind of you're stating you need to have performing outbound. I mean, obviously I do.
Exactly. Might be important.
Might be important. And then the biggest problem with this email, it flips straight away into the pitch. That's where we come in. This is what we do. This is our tool. It's all about us, blah, blah, blah. And that might have not been such a big problem if it wasn't for the fact that I don't even know which tool this was, but this description of the service of the product basically can be applied to 10 tools that I currently know on the market. So like there is nothing that is for me separating this specific tool to any tool that I currently have in my tech stack that I know of on the market. So there is no unique value prop or unique pain that you're highlighting for me that I might have missed, and then kind of covering it with a concrete solution. So it's way too vague, I would say. For me, it's not clear. I mean, it is clear what this company is doing, but I wouldn't know how to compare this product to ZoomInfo, to Seamless, to anything that I know is doing the exactly same thing to this one. So I didn't even respond to this email because we had this in place, and maybe the tool is better, but I don't know because it didn't highlight it.
Yep.
And then, is this something you'd like to explore if I can get you fast tracked through the waiting list into the next cohort? Obviously, this person is trying to create urgency. Good attempt, I would say, but this is not like, it's a good question. Like, is this something that you're looking to explore? Fine, but I mean, it doesn't really matter if the call to action was different here. I think the pitch part was way too broad and vague.
So
and exactly what Damul said here, important to distinguish your product. For me, this is the summary of this email.
Yeah, I was going to bring up that question, so I think essentially you're answering it. So two things here. One is something for everyone that's listening in that's incredibly important. So if you're an SDR in the audience, sales rep, sales leader, there's something that you need to notate and make sure that this is important, because this is where things go wrong for most people. So if you look at this first sentence, I was just reading about your upcoming raise and wanted to see how your team is planning to build up sales for the company. Now, the biggest problem here is that just screams, I saw you have money, so you should spend money with us, right? That's essentially what it's saying. Now, here's where the additional step that you can take that's going to help you. So I like to call this the context within the context. So you found out that they have an upcoming raise. Okay, that's okay. You found some information. Now, what you need to do next is go look inside of the funding, and it'll typically tell you like what they're actually looking to do. So it'll tell you like they might be looking to raise their team by 100 reps, or we're looking for product development, or we're doing some research on marketing. Normally, it tells you what's next. So that's something that I would tell you all to focus on. Is it's going to tell you, hey, this is what's going to happen, and then you can add that as a context point inside of your value prop. Because to your point, without me knowing what the tool is, this sounds like 20 other tools immediately that come to my mind. And then if I can't, again, like you said, uniquely distinguish that, trouble. And then also as well, the next cohort is interesting. I don't know what everybody in the chat thinks. Like that could I don't it could I guess it could work if you were selling like a service, but from like a product, it's like it's a product. So like we have essentially we have infinite seats, like But if it was a service, that might actually be good.
Oh, we have a cold message in the.
Oh, I see it. I see it. I see it. I see it. Let's see right here. Anyone else want to add any questions or feedback on this? Let us know. But we'll move on to the next one here. What would you give a grade on this one?
Let's go with C as well.
C. Hard to impress Nadja is basically what we're getting back.
Yeah, but because for myself, I would always give a B. I would never give anybody an A. That's why, like, I'm kind of putting one grade down. I don't think there is a perfect email because you never know with people.
Well, okay, so let's talk about that. You said you never know with people. Does that mean timing? Does that mean the personality of the person? Like, talk a little bit more about that.
Personality of the person, I would say. Like, obviously timing, everything else that is happening, whether you're relevant, etc., if you're reaching out to the proper person. But doing this for a while now, some people really don't want to be sold to. Like, they hate cold emails, and no matter what art of a cold email you write, you can get, like, I gotten like horrible responses on the emails that were perfectly personalized, relevant, timely. I did a bunch of research, but they just don't want to receive a cold email and they find it offensive. It depends obviously on who you're reaching out, what is your target audience, where they're located as well. But same goes for cold calls, for emails, for LinkedIn messages. Some people are just people who don't want to be sold, I would say.
No, they don't. You're right. They don't. And I think it's also important as well because timing is also critical. Sometimes you get a really good email and it's just not the right time. Like they can't buy that service, that product, because they really just evaluated their plan and has nothing to do with what you're looking to offer them. So also making sure that case is there as a part of it. So everyone here so far, real quick, y'all know we got the air horns for the halftime here. So everyone so far, if you have been enjoying this, you like it, you find it impactful or helpful, let us know in the chat if it's been impactful and helpful. Again, I do these things to make sure that we can give you some insights and some completely different perspectives every single time. So if you have found this helpful, insightful, please let us know in the chat because we obviously want to hear from you. So let us know in there. And if you have questions and if you're just jumping in here, ask us questions around emails, outbound, etc. That's what we're doing here. So we have about 20 minutes left that we're diving into here, and then we'll continuously answer questions if we can. But we're just going through emails for people that are just jumping in. And yeah, I mean, to go to your point, Oliver, it's just what I've realized is that like when I had my team, people would get discouraged and they would be like, oh my gosh, like my email was fire and like it just didn't get a response. It's like, yeah, like people are busy. The timing was off. So like sometimes that happens. Even if you I'm a huge what are you like huge into sports, Nadja?
Yes.
No, you said no. You're like, Morgan,
I don't watch sports. I do sports, but I don't watch it so much. Basketball, yes.
Okay, perfect. I'm gonna do basketball. So there's some times when your jump shot and your follow through feels really good, but you still miss the shot, right? It's just the same thing here. So I just want everyone to like understand that if you're like struggling, like, oh man, I'm not getting responses. Well, sometimes the timing could be absolutely off, which is why you need to be putting up volume, but not like insane volume, not like 1,000 emails a day, which is you should never be doing that really.
My favorite way to kind of when my team is struggling with this, like I had a recent example, same thing that you said, like it was a perfect email, why didn't I get a response, etc. And then I said, like, can you open your inbox? And they go to their inbox, and I said, like, you see that email on the below that I've sent to you? Like, did I get a reply? No. Why? Oh, I forgot, I was busy. I like my kid, this and this and this. And I'm like, that's what's happening with your prospects as well. Like, you didn't reply to your manager in this case. Like, why would somebody, when like something's going on in their lives, reply to a salesperson? It happens. So like, it's never really, it's not never. It's sometimes it is you, but in most cases it's not you, I would say.
That's a perfect example. Now you're responding to your manager, but then you're like, why are people responding to me that I'm a stranger? It's like, well, that you just proved your own point.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate everyone that's found this helpful so far. We might not be able to get to your actual message there, Badan, but I mean, you can send it to me if you want to, but we probably won't be able to get to it. Maybe for the next time I can do it. For everyone that's enjoying so far, thank you so much. Again, if you have questions, throw them in the chat because we want to hear you. Now we're going to go to the next email here. So with this email, this is something that I think Nadia, I think you forwarded it to yourself so that we could do this here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then this is the subject line so you all can see it. And then here is the email. So Nadia is going to break down her assessment across the board, and then we're going to hear you all's feedback. And by the way, if you have feedback, drop it in the chat. We'd love to hear from you as well.
So meeting opportunity to be localized, fine. The subject line, I kind of tend to ignore subject lines, to be honest. So I'm not maybe the best person to talk about subject lines because they always go straight into the copy of the email. If I see the couple of first
Like
words.
the first words. Okay.
Yeah, I look at the first words and I typically open my emails either way because I'm in the cold emailing business. So I want to see the good and bad examples. So in most cases, I would open every single email that I receive. But to go back to the email, so first sentence. Hope you don't mind me reaching out like this, but I was just on LinkedIn and noticed that you're a director of sales development and localized and had to drop you a line. Literally, I received, I think, hundreds of the same emails with the same intro line in the last 6 months. So like for me, this is kind of a lazy personalization, I would say, very lazy personalization that you can easily automate on LinkedIn as well. Plus, just because you saw that I'm a director of sales development and localize, why did you have to drop me a line? Like, why? Like, why? There are so many different directors of sales development in the world, in any company. Why? Like, for me, you're not telling me why. Like, you're saying that this is why, but why? So this is kind of an intro to the email. Literally, this sentence could have been deleted, and exactly as Milmir said, personalization instead of actual personalization. So how I think of personalization is if this sentence that you're personalizing can be sent to anybody else, that's not personalized. That's, you trying to do personalization, but personalized means that it's personal to me personally. And if it can be applied to somebody else, it's not really personalization. So then we go into the next sentence, which is again, straight to the point, asking for a meeting and asking for my time without even knowing what the hell are you selling and what the hell would we talk about on this call. So you do kind of a lazy personalization, then you ask straight for the meeting. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you're selling. I don't know why would I talk to you. I don't know anything about you. And then we go into the pitch, which is we're releasing to introduce a new lead generation program for companies in all industries like Ernst & Young, and that yielded growth results and helped them grow their business both in Latvia and abroad. Now, here's the thing. This is where the person mentions in like all industries, first of all, so you're not even niched, which is a problem. Plus, on top of that, you're mentioning Ernst & Young, which is completely different type of company than us. Like, this is the problem. You can't use like social proof if this proof is nowhere close to my company. Like, this company might have budget for this. This company is a completely different type of company. Like, why would I care about what Ernst & Young is doing when it's completely different industry, completely different type of company?
Not even the same stratosphere.
I really don't care. It's not that I don't care. It's just like, for me, it doesn't do anything for me. So there is nothing that is separating, again, this service, like lead generation program, compared to anybody else on the market. Why would I trust this person? Why would I care about this solution? How do you even know that I have a pain in the first place? So like, you've never mentioned in any point, because I saw this makes me think you're right now working on your lead generation, and this is how I can help you, and this is why you should talk to me and not somebody else. There is none of that in this email. The only part that I like, to put it briefly, we only deliver genuine leads that are interested in your business so that you and your team can focus on what you do best to get more sales. This part I like. For me, this is the only part of the email that I like, but being put in this type of email, it doesn't do anything again. And then again, the same question. I'm keen on quick a quick 15 minutes chat. So I'm very happy that you who is selling to me are happy to have a chat with me, but I'm not. Uh, and when would you next be available? This is very like aggressive, I would say, like asking for a lot, asking again 2 questions, um, focused on themselves completely, bringing up case like social proof that is not related to me. So not personalized, not relevant, poorly formatted, because the questions on having a meeting with me is both in the second line and the last line. So for me, this email doesn't work at all.
Okay, so let's dive into three main things that I'm hearing here, and I'm gonna have some follow up questions as well. So the one thing, I don't know if anyone else in here in the chat you do this as well, and maybe you've removed it. I used to do this when I first started as an SDR, and I thought that the peak. This is funny. Personalization was like adding their title to be like, oh yeah, I recognize you. This is probably one of the most probably actually just like waste of space and offensive things you can do, is saying like, hey, like I noticed that you're this title at this company. It's like, okay, yeah, like I know that, right? So this is a way that doesn't really help you at all, and that first sentence is wasting your space, right? Because you just mentioned you always want to look at the first 3 to 8 words and see like, is there going to pique interest? Well, this doesn't inherently pique any interest because they already know that you already know you're the director of sales development. You already know you're at this company. That doesn't change anything unless you've mentioned that in this certain role in this company, you have something so unique to say, but the chance of that is like 0.01%, right? So I always encourage everybody listening in to just don't even mention their title unless you have something insanely unique to say. Two, I'm
Mm,
just gonna megaphone on this company piece. Like one of the best things that you can do is just eliminate any company use case that has nothing to do with the industry that you're targeting. And
yeah.
if you want to put in a company, I would recommend to put in 3 companies and do it as like a huge enterprise company, a mid-market company, and a SMB. It shows that you work with different companies in 3 different sectors. So that's something that we've seen to be successful, at least when I was doing training. But to put a company that's like, okay, we all know what Ernest Young is, but again, it doesn't have anything relevant to do with the company you're targeting. So the use cases and the examples don't work, right? That's like, I'm going to use sports again. It's like saying, it's like Steph Curry going to like a soccer player and be like, hey, look, I'm going to teach you like how to dribble. Like, I've been really good at like shooting, and like, I think I can help you with this as well. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. And that's like what you're doing here. And then I think with the call to actions, I think it's ultimately going back to what we talked about, which are those, would be open to learning more. Are you curious to have a deep dialogue on this? I think those are what you want to lean for. I know we just talked about a 15-minute chat. I actually am going to ask you this question because I've asked a couple people this question and the answers are always different. I know we said not to ask like 30 minutes or 45 minutes. Does your answer change because now it's less time is 15 minutes, or does that actually more annoying to you because you know it's not going to be 15 minutes?
Mm, I personally don't care if they ask me for 15, 30, 45 minutes, and I don't even care. I don't care that much about the call to action, to be honest. Uh, if the intro, if it's something that I'm actually interested to learn about, I can even spend more time than you're asking if it's something that I need and that I'm interested to learn. So if you're gonna say 15-minute chat, 30-minute chat, I don't really care. I personally would just say like, are you available for a quick chat? Drop the numbers. Like, it doesn't really matter how much time you're gonna ask from them. Um, because nobody's going to respond just because you said 15 instead of 30 minutes. Like, if they don't want to talk to you, they're not going to talk to you for 15 or
They're
30
not.
minutes.
Yeah.
And just because I saw, I laughed so hard at Oliver here, who said like, I feel Nadja is 93% of the people I email. I'm personally, I respond to cold emails, and I'm not that harsh when I'm reading cold emails, because I know the cold emailing game, and I know that not everybody's good at it, and it takes work and it takes time. So if it's actually something that is helpful, I would respond either way and then give them tips on how to improve cold emails.
There you go, Oliver. So your assumption isn't that she's that harsh. We're just going through and breaking it down so we can help some people. So I'm gonna actually bring this off. I want to bring this up because I think this is a good thing to talk about. Only time when mentioning the role could make sense is if they get promoted, but then it even doesn't make too much sense. Yeah, I feel like that's like again the only time, but then you don't have to mention the role. It's like just congrats on the promotion, then you just move on, right?
Yep.
And I think that's like the way that you need to think about it, which I believe leads into the next one. I think that I'm going to share here is actually on congrats on your role. I think that's coming up here in a minute. And we're going to show this other email here, but on this last email that we just did, what would you give a grade on this one?
Morgan, I think you're having.
I know. Can you hear me?
We're having some issues.
Are you? Can you hear me?
Yeah. No, we were. Yes.
Okay. Cool. I'm back. So I was asking what was the grade on that one?
On that, can you go back to the email?
Yes, I absolutely can. And everyone else, like chime in as well if you have questions. Feel free to chime in. But here was that email.
Oof. This one I don't know. C. I don't want to be too harsh. C.
Okay, so now we're gonna go to the next one. So this one's a lot. This one's a lot shorter. Okay, so break this one down for us. So this is in your wheelhouse of short.
Yes, I like that it's short. So bonus points on it being short. Bonus points on not on using very short words. So like I like when somebody starts like, "Hi Nadja, saw that your company is hiring for sales reps." Bullet point. Stop. Like that's enough information for me. You're not overfluffing it. You're not using fancy words. Nice. I think I have something that can help you increase 2 times the number of meetings and deals. Again, we're not going to go back to the same topic, but what we talked about, throwing away the numbers. You don't know how many meetings. Maybe we are booking 1 meeting per month, and that's awesome. So like just saying double the amount of meetings, it's just making fake assumptions. But here is the problem with this email. At this company, we set up and manage teams of trained reps to qualify and book more meetings into your AE's calendars. So you know that I'm hiring for sales reps. I'm actively hiring for sales reps. I have sales reps already in my company, and you're selling me a product or a service where you want to bring in basically for us to outsource completely our sales and give it to somebody else to do it. That's fine as a kind of a thought that maybe we should look into potentially outsourcing our sales, but then you need to educate me why outsourcing my sales team might be more effective, more cost-wise smart, and how we can benefit from it. So like here, what is missing, educating me on, I see that you're hiring sales reps. Cool to see that you're growing your sales engine, that you're trying to kind of boost the revenue of the company. Have you maybe considered, instead of hiring sales reps, outsourcing it? Because these are the things, and then you kind of, I don't know what are the benefits of having outsourced teams, because I've always had in-house teams.
Yeah.
But educate me and make me think why this might be a good thing for us to consider. And then because typically outsourced sales teams lack in quality, I would say, like that's kind of the opinion that most of the companies have. Prove me why you think that's not the case for you. So this is what is missing in this email. It's short, it's good. If the pitch was a bit different, it would work, but in this case, it misses the point.
I think that's a really great call out, is that the trend, even though they started off really strong and the email is super short, I even like the call to action. I think it's great there. You're saying the transition of what they're offering like is counterintuitive, unless again they brought in some facts from an additional context.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, because maybe there could be. Well, actually, I'm going to ask you a question on this, and I'm curious for everyone's perspective. If you get cold emails, what your take on this is? What's your take on bullet points in an email?
In this case, I would like it. I personally don't like it. It seems templated. It seems, like you're listing your value props, like choose which one you like. Yeah. But in this case, simply because I personally wouldn't care about how the email was formatted. So like if it had bullet points or if you've written it in the sentence, I would prefer, to be honest, a sentence. But like in this case, this is the information that would be missing. And then if somebody kind of listed me, 3 key things why this would actually make sense as stats or whatever, I'm fine. Like I wouldn't love it, but I would be like, okay, I've gotten information that I need. I think people honestly are overthinking these things. I think it's just the messaging itself that is important, and then how you deliver it format wise obviously makes a difference. But again, I would say sometimes it helps because it's more visual as well. Like when you open it, you can see it. I personally have stopped doing bullet points like 3 years ago, so I don't do them. So it's not like I can tell you right now it's working or it's not because I haven't A/B tested it for a while.
Yep.
Yeah, but what are your thoughts?
I really don't like bullet points. I don't know. And so here's the thing though. Do I like bullet points in like follow-up emails and a sales cycle? Oh yeah, all day long, right? But I don't. For some reason, I don't know if someone else can have another point where you refute me on this. I've never liked it. I just think that they they don't really like. I feel like it comes off as like gimmicky. This is just on what my take is,
Mm,
and then I just feel like okay, like I'm just getting blanketed messaging here. I really don't like this at all. And so that's like ultimately like how I feel about it. But anyone can add their perspective and to say if they have better
yeah,
results. If you do bullet points, because I know people do them and they do see success, I always tell people to do at least three. Biggest obstacle is I see like when people send me an email and it's like 10 bullet points. It's like, well, that's not helpful whatsoever, right? I'm probably not going to pay attention to that. So bullet points, I say at the end of the day, I'm not a massive fan of them. I've seen people do them successfully. But again, it goes back to what you said earlier, Nadia, is that everyone is also different. Like, that's why it's important to A/B test,
yeah,
try different things, do different things in your campaign. Like, I'm not a huge fan of them, but like someone may be in here being like, I love bullet points. That's all I care about. All right, great. So, and
yeah.
that's their perspective as well. Answer a couple things here. Hey, go ahead.
No, no, just want to say like, but I actually agree with you because like I feel like bullet points were such a big part of cold emailing 3, 4, 5 years ago. Like every single cold email would have like intro, pit, like bullet points of like value props, and then call to action. And then like I feel like prospects got allergic to it basically. So like when you see the bullet points, it's like cold email. Again, it depends on the prospect.
100%. And so we have some quick questions in here, and we're wrapping up here. So ask your questions, and we're gonna dive into it. First and foremost, to Mola, I do this. Well, I do Muffins with Morgan weekly. We do teardowns like at least once a month. So stay tuned for that. There will be a recording later. It's on my YouTube channel, so go check it out there at Morgan J Ingram if you want to go check that out. So we have some additional questions here as well. So okay, this is an interesting question. So it's saying, using your personal preference, is that fair when you're working on an email to an audience that who knows if it has the same preference than yours? So I think what the question is asking here is it fair to is it fair to hear from your perspective? Is it helpful for people moving forward? I think that's really what you're saying, and you can let us know if that's not what you're saying, but that's just like what I'm taking this questions as. I think it's ultimately is it like you have your perspective, people have other perspective. How do we know if we're emailing? How do we know what type of emails we should be writing if people have different perspectives? Which I think is the simple answer is you have to A/B test because you just don't know. But I don't know if you have an answer to this question here.
I would say I actually have an answer because I was thinking about this when I was switching to localized because this was a completely different industry to me. Like we were targeting different ICP. Uh, if I got the question right, by the way, I'm not sure if I'm answering
Yeah, I'm
the
not clarify if we're missing this question, by the way.
yeah.
This is what we're taking.
But what I would say, like, what helps me the most when I'm not sure if the messaging will resonate with my customers, with my ICP, first I check literally some recordings from the calls, and I listen to how they're speaking, how they're phrasing words, how they're talking about the product, the pain, etc. Then I would actually bring up the copy that I've built with the current customer and ask him, hey, would you respond to this? Something that resonates with you. So if it does, like listen, talk to your audience that you already have, your customers. They're the best feedback they can give you. If I've gotten even the question here from Alejandra properly, I hope I answered it as well. So yes, thank you. I saw the comment.
Awesome. Okay, so quick fire here. What are your thoughts on the visual of the email?
Very
So okay, dive into it.
very important. Visually, it needs to be easily scanned. Like you need to be able to easily scan the content, know immediately what is attention spam is horrible these days. So like you need to kind of catch, make sure they understand it on the first go. If you include some like picture, visual, GIF, whatever it is, like a graph, it will catch more attention. That's for sure. But then if your copy is way too long, it will just nobody's gonna read it. So yes, it's important, but it's not only like the visuals that you're including in the email. It's like also the formatting of the email and simply how it looks like at the end of the day, especially on the phone.
That's insanely critical. Make sure that on all your emails that you're sending it to the phone, because if you're not doing that, it's going to look clunky. It's going to look crazy. If it's not mobile friendly, it probably won't be friendly enough for people to respond to. So you just really need to remember that every single time. Okay, so we have a question. We're going back here. So essentially, this question is: I have a client that's already selling her hairs on Instagram and Etsy, but is looking to selling with cold email. Do you think it's possible to sell a product through cold emails? I think simple enough. Yes. I think it's just how you phrase certain things. But I know we gave a couple of examples earlier.
Yes, I would say like I mean, you can definitely sell anything through cold email, but cold emailing is not an easy sale. So I would say like if you have ability to do it through Instagram, to Pinterest, through anything that is actually more relevant to your audience, don't spread out your power across different channels. Like stick to one and make it very strong. There is no reason really to go after the emails. I think it's gonna just waste a lot of resources in this case. If it's like if we're talking about hairstyle, jewelry, etc.
Okay, we got questions just flying in here. What do you think about videos instead of email?
Love it. Love it. If it's a good video, if it's short video, if the person is not fake on the video, and if the kind of copy, the content, what you're telling me is on the point, I would always prefer even watching because I like to learn also about how other people are doing sales. That's why I'm saying I'm a bit of a different also prospect, and my opinion here is maybe not be the same as your prospects in the first place. But I think it's great. I think it depends severely on the industry. So like if you're reaching out to manufacturing companies, I think they would find it very strange, to be honest. But if you're reaching out to like, I don't know, marketing agencies or anybody who is in the creative industry, definitely it's going to work way better.
Is
Maybe not
there
way better, but it's going to work better. Oh, it's going to work good.
so for let's just say from your perspective, even as you talk to your team, let's talk about videos real quickly, and then we'll have another question that we're going to dive into as we wrap up. What does someone need to do in the first 5 seconds to grab your attention? And then how important is the first couple seconds in that thumbnail? And what I mean by that is them smiling, not smiling, the lighting. I think these things are important to talk about. So I'm curious on your perspective.
Yes, definitely. So one thing that I see the most, and I think it's the worst, is when you feel somebody has learned the script by heart or is reading from the script, which is even worse, and then it's like a very robotic way of speaking and like not even looking maybe in the camera but like somewhere else and just reading from the screen. I think these are the first things that you catch. So I think when you're actually opening up the video, you need to kind of feel somebody's like very on the move, positive, like looking
Yep.
at the camera, talking casual like we're right now talking, and not like I'm recording myself and I'm talking. It's gonna be super strange. So I feel the natural tone that somebody has is important. And then what they say in the first couple of sentences, like it will obviously depend. But it would be good if it's focused on me and not on them. So like it's not like, hey, I'm this and this and this person from this company, this is what we're selling. I mean, you're gonna lose me.
I agree with that. And then let's dive into some other couple ones real quick. So we head out of here. Controversial, but putting it out there. Boring subject lines work better. Thoughts? Now you said you don't really pay attention to the subject line as much.
I mean, I do, but like I personally just open every email, but obviously my reps are sending emails, so I care about the
Yep.
subject
Yep.
lines.
Yep.
I wouldn't say that they work better, but they work well. Like I like boring subject lines as well. Like the shorter, like three words max, in my opinion, and then just kind of get them to open it so that we can go to the email. Like I don't want somebody spending too much time on the subject line itself. I don't like generic subject lines. So like for me, I know that reply rates are still open rates are still good on this, but quick question when I see, I want to literally delete the email right away, even though it's still getting good open rates, so you can use it. But yeah, I don't like it. So I don't know really how to answer this question. It really depends what boring subject line you're using in the first place.
It just defines. I mean, everyone's definition of boring is different, right? I mean, and also as well, like if you're selling into finance, like boring subject lines probably actually would be better, right? You
Yeah.
don't need to do anything crazy. So I think it's hard to say. It's also cultural differences as well. Like there's a lot of
Mhm.
breakdowns here that I would go into that. But let's quick fire so we can move on. All right. So what should the email include to get you to click and watch a sales video? You talked about this a little bit, but I'm assuming it's the copy.
It's the copy, it's the tease. So like you need to you can't tell me everything that you're gonna say in the video, but you need to tease me of the value that I will get if I actually watch your video. So it can be like just a small sentence before the video to get me to actually open it.
One of the things that I'll add here, and we'll go to this last question here, and then if you'll have like something extremely quickly answer, we can. But we'll get out of here to respect Nadja's time. One thing that we did, I was training a lot of companies in cybersecurity, and people weren't clicking the video. Obvious reasons. They're like, "Oh, why would I click this video from this random person?" Cybersecurity, the whole thing, right? So what we started to do is say, I know that this video might be out of the blue. However, I wanted to do something that could stand out. Would you be opposed to watching this video that's less than 90 seconds? So we started to just call out that it is crazy. It's a little bit out of the blue, but saying that we wanted to do something different than the normal cold emails they get. And then we just said it's less than 90 seconds or it's less than 120 seconds. For clarification, your video should be 45 to 60 seconds typically, but sometimes people go a little bit over than that according to the data. If you go over 60 seconds, like your reply rate typically goes down. So that's just all those things to keep in mind. But that's an example of some copy that you could use. Now, last question here. Now, this one, I have a very strong take on this one, but would it be okay to include a link for your prospect to your calendar in case what you're saying sounds relevant to them? And this isn't a cold emails.
In follow-ups, if you've gotten a reply, in follow-ups, yes, I would say like in follow-ups, yes, it's fine to kind of include your calendar link because you're kind of starting to lose hope as well. And then maybe you're kind of giving them enough information. Maybe you saw that they're opening the email a lot, maybe engaging with you on LinkedIn, etc. Then yes, in the first email, I would never do that, to be honest. Maybe I would put it in the PS, like under my signature, I might have like a small link to my calendar, but I wouldn't kind of push it like, here's my link, book a meeting with me. I wouldn't do that. Like I've done it a while back, and I think sales has changed. So yeah, I'm not doing that at the moment.
So this to answer this question here, if you're going to do it, PS is good. Also just put in your signature.
Yep.
Just put it in there. Typically, if you put it in the body of your email, it can actually lead to spam. It can also lead to people feeling like, wait, who are you? Why are you sending me your accounting link? I'm just letting y'all know. I got someone actually roast me and being like, yo, why are you sending accounting link? We ain't in there yet. I'm just like, okay, like my bad, right? So I don't recommend it. I do have people who do it and they do get meetings, but I've just heard more bad responses and not good things than positive things. So typically when I hear that, I tell people to just not to do them. But you can obviously do whatever you need to do. So there's that. So again, we're gonna end the show here. I know if anyone has additional questions, feel free to message Nadja, message me. But Nadja, where can people find you moving forward as we wrap up here?
LinkedIn 100%. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can always DM me, message me. I'm always open to talk, network with people. Hopefully I'll start my podcast this year as well. So Morgan, you will be one of the people that I'm going to be inviting as well. But yeah, LinkedIn is my place.
Awesome. Well, I hope that you started that podcast. That'd be amazing. People want to hear you. Oliver, thanks so much for liking this episode. For everyone else, hopefully you enjoyed this episode as well. We do this weekly on Friday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we'll see you next week for our next episode. Hope you have a great Friday and a great weekend. Cheers, everybody.